Hello everyone, I want to welcome you to RV Inspection, a full-time or part-time small business opportunity. I've had several folks that have reached out to me and say, Mr. Cooper, is this something that I could do even though I'm working maybe another job? Maybe I'm working as a mobile tech, maybe I'm working as a technician at a dealership, and all I can say is yes, yes, yes. There are certain limitations, and we'll discuss that in today's activity. I'm going to walk you through some things so you can take an opportunity to put something in your back pocket for a change. I don't know about you, but I've been involved in jobs that it was a good job, paid very well, but many times I felt like that I was just really being held back. I couldn't do more for my family. So when I had more month than paycheck, sometimes it was just a little frustrating. And so I want to open some doors. I want to show you some opportunity that's available to you. So with that being said, let's get started and let me walk you through what we have. Now we're dealing with the National RV Inspectors Association. This organization was started a year ago. Actually, I say a year ago. It started in 2014, in January of 2014. What had happened is I have a partner, and you're going to meet this special guest. His name is Steve Anderson, and he'll be on the line a little later on in this program, but I want to kind of give you a little background of what took place. Mr. Anderson and I got to talking, and I was sharing with him some of the situations I was dealing with. I had been teaching at a college in Waco, Texas. It was a technical school that was owned by the state of Texas. I was training RV technicians, but what I found is that I was having to take a lot of vacation to go take care of these extracurricular activities that I kept running into. I was doing RV shows, doing seminars, and then I was getting called to dealerships to come in and train technicians. But the one thing that just floored me is I kept getting calls from bankers, insurance companies, and attorneys saying, Cooper, I need somebody to go out and take a look at this thing. What I need is a home inspection for an RV. And it really kind of rang my bell when I heard that. I thought, really? And so as I began to look at it and saw that there really wasn't anybody doing this type thing, a home inspection for an RV. But I think the crowning blow for me was when I got a call from the banker, and he told me, he said, Cooper, I do not understand what you guys do in this RV experience. He said, I think it's a wonderful life that you guys have. People seem to really enjoy it. But he said, I have a woman sitting in my office right now, and she's going to borrow a little over $200,000 for a motorhome, and I'll tell you, she doesn't know anything about it other than it has pretty curtains. And he said, she's good for it. She's got the money. She's got the credit to pull it off. But he said, I'm just very uncomfortable because I know this family, and I want to make sure that I look after her because I think that I don't know the history on this unit. So how do I know that it's a good unit that she's buying? So he had me go out and do an inspection on it. As it turned out, it was a good unit. Went ahead and did oil sampling as well as doing the full-blown inspection. And then I got a call from an attorney. Now, he loaded me up on an airplane, flew me out of Texas all the way over to Alabama just to look at an RV. And so what I began to see was that there was a market here. It was a little niche market that I never knew that really, really existed. So this began the whole process of getting things going. I sat down and talked to Steve Anderson, the gentleman that you're going to meet here shortly. He owns a company called RV Inspection Connection now. Now, what happened was he and I sat down and began to look at this saying, here's an opportunity. Why don't we have a little boutique business that we can take and train some of the folks that work for you and are actually subscribing to your magazine called Work Camper News. And they can come in and work for you as contractors doing inspections on all these different RVs. And so we began to think, okay, we'll just build this as a boutique business. Just not really big thing, just spread it out around across the United States and do a few things. Well, one thing led to another. Then pretty soon we began to realize that this was a tiger that we'd gotten hold by the tail because it was a lot bigger than we thought. And then when we were, and how can I say this in a polite way, we were taken to the woodshed, and that's the term Mr. Anderson uses, so I think it's a good one. We were taken to the woodshed by two home inspectors. Now, one of them is a gentleman out of Florida. Now, this guy's he's pretty savvy on what's going on, and he kept telling us, guys, don't mess up like we did. In the home inspection business, we started out doing inspections because we saw a need, just like you folks are seeing with the RV. But he said, unfortunately, we didn't have any standards of practice. We didn't have any code of ethics. So we had folks doing inspections all different ways. And he said it got to such a situation that sometimes state attorney generals had to step in and clean up some of the messes. And as you and I both know, when they step in, a lot of times they have to put such things in such structured arrangements that many times it really chokes down the business. And that's what's happened to them. So this gentleman, his name was Wally. Wally recommended, he said, gentlemen, you must set up some sort of credentialing and also some sort of association that folks can belong to, so that way everybody knows what the standards are, everybody's getting the same training, everybody's using the same material, so all inspections are the same. So it was then we started the path of developing the National RV Inspectors Association. Now, I laugh at how we came up with these letters, NRVIA, because most of you know that there is an organization called RVIA, the RV Industry Association. Now, they're the folks that go out and inspect RVs at the manufacturers. They also help establish shall I say, the levels, some of the standards. They work with the National Electrical Code, the National Fire Protection Agency, help them, guide them, so that way they can help set up the standards for the RV industry. Unfortunately, when I looked at what we were going to have to do with NRVIA, I couldn't find the letters that really put together anything that said National RV Inspectors Association. We tried all different kinds of domain names, and this is the only thing we could come up with. So I'm always asked the question, well, are you guys part of RVIA? Guys, we're not. Other than we use the same standards that they use. We operate with the same integrity that they do, because we want to make sure that when an inspection is done, that it's done to the same standards that unit was built by. So with that being said, please understand that NRVIA is a standalone association that was built, created strictly to provide education, credentials, and the code of ethics that we need for inspectors, RV inspectors, to have to use in the industry. Now, let me just go ahead and just drop the hammer right now. We need 1,800 new inspectors right now. And let me just tell you, we're a long ways from there. We have a little less than 300 inspectors, and that's trying to cover across the United States. So that in itself tells you, hey, there's a market here. There's something here. And so when you really begin to look at what's going on, I mean, look at all the RVs we've got running up and down the highway in North America. Now, this is the U.S. and Canada. Look at how many baby boomers, 22,000 baby boomers a day that are retiring. And the thing about it is, never in all of history have we had a group of people that came through, such a large block of people that came through this in any generation, that was as wealthy, had the resources, had the drive, and had the health to be able to enjoy the resources that are available for the RVer. So what happens, many of these baby boomers have worked these jobs their whole life, and they kept saying, someday when I retire, I'm going to RV. Lady E, now that's my wife, Evada, I call her Lady E. Lady E and I know some folks that they had kept making plans. This couple, two couples to be exact, had made plans that they were going to, someday when he retired, they were going to go out on the road. They were going to get their RV, whether it's a motorhome or a big fifth wheel, and they were going to travel. Well, in one situation, the husband passed away, so the poor wife, she was a lost duck. You know, everything that they had planned for, everything that they had saved for went out the window, because she was going to have to do it by herself. And she wasn't really, I don't know that she really felt comfortable doing it by herself. She was capable. I just don't know that she was comfortable. We had another couple to where the wife began to develop some health problems, and so they weren't able to do it. So when you look at it, what's happening is many of the boomers are coming to the point to say, if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it. But what's really interesting is we're now beginning to see families coming on to the site. We have full-time families that are jumping in and traveling, taking their children and saying, I want you to experience the United States. I want you to experience Canada. I want you to experience all that we have here, so that way you will know that there's more than just what you read in the textbooks. So we not only are seeing the baby boomer, but we're also seeing those that are younger, in the neighborhood of, say, 30 to 35 years and up. We've had several of those folks come through some classes, and it's very interesting to see their enthusiasm and their desire to get out and explore and to see. But you know, the thing that really struck me the most about all this when we started looking at developing the NRVIA is that 60%, over 60% of the used RVs are sold privately. They never have a chance to go through a dealership. I mean, it's not fair to the dealer, because what's going to happen is the consumer is going to come in with a unit that they have purchased sight unseen, or somebody told them it's a great unit, or at least it was 2 years ago when I put it in storage, and then all of a sudden they bring this unit to a dealership and ask the dealership to make everything right. And, you know, had it been a unit that the dealer had had, they could have eliminated some of that, or maybe even helped that customer or potential customer possibly say, you know, this may not be the one for you. But they didn't have that opportunity because they said, well, you know, I just thought I could get a real good deal on it. But the thing that we're seeing happening is those people that got stung are saying, hey, how can I keep from having that happen? How can I limit-proof myself? If you could just hear some of the stories that Lady E and I have heard of people saying, if only I had an inspection, if only we hadn't bought this unit, if only the guy hadn't lied to me, if only, if only. And so when you begin to see that, you realize that people are very trusting. But there comes a point where we also realize is that sometimes the people that are selling these units to us are not maybe on the up and up, or maybe they don't quite remember the problems this unit had. I mean, let's face it, we know statistically that if you buy an RV and you enjoy the lifestyle, you'll buy 7 in your lifetime. But we also know that if that first one we buy is a lemon, we're going to hit the eject button and we're gone. And we lose them in this RV experience. So as whether you're a service tech or you're working at a dealership in sales, service, whatever your position is, what we find over and over again, if the customer gets a bitter taste in their mouth, then they're gone. They don't stick around. And we lose good customers, customers that will buy 7 units in their lifetime if they were allowed. So I want you to think about an RV inspection is really a home inspection for your RV, okay? So keep that in mind as we go through this. Now, as we got into this, we thought we would be dealing with strictly used units that were privately owned. Well, what we're finding out now, dealers are saying, hey, I want to do like the car dealers have been doing for years. We want to have a certified pre-owned unit because we know that 1, it's been checked out, and 2, we can give the customer peace of mind because they come to us because they know we've had this thing looked at by an independent third party, and they're willing to pay a little more. So we see that this has been a win-win for that dealership. Then we also see that the rental companies, now these are the folks that rent RVs. Many of them will do what we call a revenue share with a consumer that owns an RV. They say, look, if you'll bring it over to our lot, we'll put it on the rental fleet lineup, and we'll rent it out. You'll generate revenue. We'll generate revenue. We'll maintain it. Well, unfortunately, in 2 to 3 years, when this unit comes out of the fleet, the customer that brought it in seems to have forgotten that a unit gets older. There's a little wear and tear on it, and so when they come to pick it up, in their mind, it's this pristine little baby that it was when they thought they dropped it off. What they don't realize, it may not have been in as good a shape as they thought. So what we're seeing is rental companies are saying, look, how about if we have an inspection by an independent third party before we agree that we're going to do a revenue share with you, Mr. RV owner, so that way everybody knows what this unit looks like. And then when this unit comes out of the rental fleet, another inspection is done. So that way the 2 reports can be compared and you can see what has taken place or what has not taken place with this unit. And then for those that have the rental fleet that maybe they own them, the rental company owns all the units, but at some point they're going to pull that unit out of the fleet and they're going to sell it, possibly to a consumer. So what we're finding is that these individuals or these companies are saying, look, if I can get an independent third-party inspection, I can have this thing certified, so that way I've got a report that I can show the buyer, the potential buyer that comes and looks at this unit, so they know exactly what they're getting. So what we see is the rental companies really surprised us when they said, yeah, that's what we're after right there, because we want to get rid of some of the ill will that sometimes develops between a revenue share relationship. And we also see that there's a relationship that when a buyer comes to buy a rental unit that had been in a rental fleet, that they know that they're getting a better unit than they would if they just bought this thing off of Craigslist or one of the online trading sites that you see on the internet. The other thing that we're seeing is insurance companies. I had oddly enough, and it really drove home when I talked to this lady. She told me, she said, Cooper, you know, your inspection's pretty thorough. I'm not sure that we need all of it, so we may need to talk to you about readjusting the inspection you have. But what we know is that before we put a policy in force, we should be doing an inspection on our units, because she said, I can't prove that there's fraud, but it sure looks awful suspicious that in 30, 60, maybe 90 days, there's a claim filed on this policy for hail damage. And she said, we look at the weather reports, there was no hail during that 30, 60, or 90-day period. But she said, we have no way of proving that there hasn't been a hailstorm or they haven't been involved in some situation. She said, if we had an inspection, more than just one of these VIN numbers to verify that, yes, this is the right vehicle, and yes, we are insuring the right unit by this VIN number, but if we had somebody who could go in and look at this unit for hail damage, make sure that the recall kit has been installed on the refrigerator, make sure that there's propane, not a propane leak, fire extinguishers in good shape, the LP detector, what she was naming off, all of those things that we classify as the life safety issues in an inspection report. So I totally understood where she was coming from. And then I sat down and began to talk to Ed Wilkins and Bill Coster, who handle the protective product line. The Extra Ride, I think, is the product that they work with. And they began to share with me that they said, look, this 60 to 65% of these used units out here, for lack of a better term, they're scary. They're a snake pit because we don't know the history on that unit. But they said, if you can bring me an inspection report on this unit and it shows the condition of it, and if it's in a condition that is not, you know, like it's dying, we will cover it with an extended service agreement. And they said, you know, if it's a motorhome, great, this fluid analysis that you guys can offer, that is perfect because it tells us the condition of that engine. At the price of these diesel pusher engines, you know, $20,000 to $30,000 to rebuild, or what it costs to put the coils on the back of a refrigerator, or maybe even an air conditioner. All of these things are costs that they're looking at. And, you know, they're looking at it from some way to try to lower their payouts. Not that they have any problems in doing the payouts, it's just that, look, we've got to control this madness. And they would like to see a way that they could extend their market. And so we've been in talks with several other individuals that are saying the exact same thing. How can we lower our payouts? Then, what do you do when you have a bank or a lending institution, a credit union calls and says, look, we've got 10 different locations in our state, and we're looking for someone to do inspections before we lend on this unit. Like this lady told us, she said, you know, what we've been getting up to now is just a VIN verification, just to verify, yeah, this is a unit, but it sure would be nice to have an inspection so we knew what we were loaning money on. Because we know that if a person's enjoying it and is using that RV, they will pay for it. Even though we know by the demographics that we look at RVers, in most cases, RVers' credit scores are much higher than the average individual. So what we know is that the people are going to pay for it, but what they want to do is this lending institution wants to find a way to where they can make sure that this thing doesn't have any chance of coming back on them. Or if they have to sell it, what kind of condition was it in? So all of these things are driving why we've got to have 1,800 inspectors. Now you say 1,800 at one time? No, because we know that some of you will be working part-time and some will be working full-time. But nevertheless, here's an opportunity for you. Now, I thought it was interesting when I contacted some of the extended service agreement companies and said, okay, tell me what your top 10 things are that you guys are dealing with. And this is what they tell us. And so when you begin to look at these items right here, these are big ticket items. So when these folks are saying, okay, we're going to put our money on the line and we're going to back you up, Mr. Customer, Mr. RV buyer, and we're going to extend an extended service agreement, knowing full well that there's some things that we're going to have to pay for, they're looking for ways to limit it. But by the same token, we know that the consumer, the more we educate this consumer on the unit before they ever buy it, the happier they'll be and the less problems that they will have. Now, also, I use this particular example right here to talk about when we start to have people come to classes. And many of these folks get in and say, you know what, I'm really only here to learn more about my unit, or two, I'm going to buy me a unit and I would like to know a little bit more about it. But what we're finding that the folks that come to the classes, and I'm going to show you here in just a few moments, some of the classes, the way we do it, how we do it, over 50% of the individuals that come and go to these classes are moving right on into the RV inspection business. And so when you begin to look at the clients that are coming for training, it's those coming to learn more about their unit. There's coming those that are saying, hey, I'm going to be purchasing one. I want to be a little bit wiser purchaser, so I know what I'm looking for. I can speak the lingo. And then we have those that say, hey, I want to learn more about the units, so that way I know what I'm looking at when I'm doing the inspection. Now, this picture, this refrigerator, I own this one. I know what this was all about. We hadn't had this thing for 6 months. And let me just tell you, I saw red when Lady E began to tell me that we were having refrigerator issues. The food had already begun, the temperature inside that box was getting up above 50, so we knew the food was going bad. And so this unit was not even 6 months old. And so to replace the coils and the labor, $1,900. And you know, and I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. How come we couldn't have had something like this that we could have looked at before we bought this unit? And so I will say that I had some questions when I looked at this unit, because I thought I had some real questions. And did you ever do that where you kind of overrode your intuition and told you that maybe it's got a problem? And yeah, so, no, it's fine, No. And if I had been involved in or had been detached in this purchase, then I would have been less likely to override my intuition. But because, here again, and I have to take the hit for this one, but because even though I knew what would be involved if you had to change the coils, that's what I explained to myself. Well, if it goes bad, then I can do it myself. But you know what? $1,900 is still $1,900. And I wonder sometimes the people that would have been in the same shoes as I was, you know, would they have gone ahead and purchased it, and how would they have been if they had had their coils go out on their refrigerator in 6 months? You know, would that have left that bad taste in their mouth? They certainly probably would not have had the skills to change out the coils. But let me just tell you, it was not a happy time around our house when I had this thing laid down in the living room floor jerking the coils off the back. So needless to say, to keep things happy around the house, Cooper's learned that you don't override your intuition when it tells you there's a problem. Now, air conditioners, you know, in the summertime, them babies, as you know, will lay down. And at today's price, to do what we call a pop and swap, $1,200. So when you begin to look at what an inspection would cost and what you would find, all of a sudden the cost is very insignificant compared to what some of these costs would be to do the repair. So finding these things before someone bought it would save everybody a lot of grief. So my question to you is, are you interested? Because let me just tell you, when I started looking at this thing, I was thinking back about the time that I've had different jobs. I've had some very good jobs working as a tech. I've been a mobile tech. I've worked as service manager. I've also worked as the director of service operations for several locations. And I will tell you, there have been times in my life that when I put my feet on the floor, I thought I was going to throw up, because it's just like, I don't want to do this again. But you know what? You get the golden handcuffs on you. You got to do it because you need the money, or you need to pay the bills, or you know, you've got a goal in mind. You're going to pay your bills off. You know, all these things that we do while we work. But let me just tell you what the crowning blow for me was. The thing that made me decide is that when that banker called me and said, I need an inspection, and what I made off of that inspection was almost half of what I made a month working at the college. And that's a shame that they pay their instructors like that, but that's another conversation for another time. So when I began to realize that sometimes I was just making more money in the evenings and on the weekends than I was at my regular job. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what does it cost you to get into it. Because when you think what buying a franchise is going to cost you and how you have to sometimes buy all this fancy new equipment, you know, you've got to buy the super duper cement mixer, or you've got to buy the, you know, the ice cream maker, or, you know, because folks, I've had snow cone stands. I know what's involved to run those and what it costs to get set up for those. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through, and I'm going to show you how you can get in and become an RV inspector. And everything that you need to work with in doing your inspection is going to be a ladder, kind of like one of these little giant fold-up type ladders. Everything that you're going to need in the way of tools are going to fit in a tub. You know, one of these tubs that's about the size of a foot locker, and you can slide that in the back of a station wagon or back of your pickup or whatever. Because I don't know about you, I've seen enough deals to where I realize who was making the money on the deal, and it certainly wasn't me. So let me just show you some things here, okay? I'm going to walk you through what is involved for you to become an inspector. Now, when we sit down and put this program together, I had to sit down and think, okay, who all would we be looking at? And having run this thing since 2014, I've begun to kind of dial this thing down and realize that people are coming to us one of three ways. So I'm going to say there's three training options is what we're seeing. And we're going to go through each one of these because I want you to think about your learning style. Some people are very visual. Some people are very hands-on. Some people need both. So with that in mind, let's walk through what we're dealing with here. The first option. Now this is what we call, if you look at the NRVIA, now that's the website, nrvia.org, we have an online, what we call an e-learning course. Now this is typically more for the more experienced RVer, maybe for an RV technician. Now let me pause here just a minute and just say this to you. If you are an RV technician working at a dealership or you have a mobile service, please understand there's some code of ethics that you're going to have to work with. One of which is that if you do an inspection on an RV, you cannot work on it for 1 year. If you have a financial interest in this RV, you can't do the inspection on it. If you, basically what I'm saying is if you have a dog in this fight, you can't be involved with it. So how do you work that? How do you take your skills? How do you take your knowledge? How do you take your ability? If you're working for a dealership or you're working for a situation to where you can do something on the side, they allow you to do work on the side, the thing I'd recommend that you do is take this up as a part-time opportunity and go to work in the evenings, on the weekends, doing inspections for other dealerships or at other dealership locations, or doing it for individuals. But making sure that you understand that you cannot do the material, you cannot do the repair on this unit if you've done the inspection, because we've got to make sure that we stay unbiased. We have no interest in this thing at all, because when we come in to do an inspection, and this is something that I was always very proud of, is that when I came in I could always say, look, I am here to do inspection on your unit right now at this time, the condition it is now. Next week it may change, next month it may change. I'm not associated with any dealership that you would want to take it in and have maintenance done on it, because I am an independent inspector. And so keep that in mind. Here's an opportunity for you as an RV technician, as a mobile tech. But I really want to speak to those of you that maybe are doing insurance claims work, maybe you're doing home inspections, or maybe you're in a career that you have a job that requires you to be very methodical and is very consistent in doing what you do things. So that way, and I'm talking about maybe like quality control inspectors. Now this is going to sound crazy, but what we find sometimes, some of our best inspectors are ladies, because they will follow instructions and they will do it. So ladies, let me just tell you this. If you have a desire, here's an opportunity for you, because we're not talking manual labor. We're not talking a lot of lifting and things because sometimes ladies maybe don't have the upper body strength just because of the way certain people are built. I mean, there's men that don't have it either, but unfortunately we see it a lot of times with ladies. And then you have an advantage here, because there are a lot of single ladies, or there are a lot of folks that would rather have a lady come do their inspection because they connect with that person. There's a camaraderie, there's a bonding that takes place, because we have an awful lot of solos, a lot of ladies that are out there soloing on by themselves. And so here's an opportunity for a woman. So feel like that you need to understand that there's opportunities for you as well. Now men, please, if you've got a family, here's an opportunity for you to do something. Okay? You can schedule your own work, you can schedule your training, and all these things to work around your current work schedule and your current family experience, your family life. Because I know how baseball is, and t-ball, and football, and soccer, all these things are. You've got things you've got to work with. But wouldn't it be great if you could do something on the side, building something for you and your family? Then down the road, if you decide to do this full time, maybe go on the road and live the RVing experience like what we call work campers do, here's an opportunity for you. So take a look at the e-learning. Now what you would do is this would be for the more experienced. Now if you're not quite as experienced, you're not crazy, think, well, I probably could do it, but I'm not sure. I'm going to show you two other options. So just hang with me here, okay? So this online, what you do is you go to nrvia.org and you sign up there. And what you're going to be able to do is to get your membership. You'll be able to take the e-learning course. You'll also have all of the exams. There's 2 sets of exams that you're going to take. And you will take these regardless of which one of the options that you're looking at, because what you're going to do is you're going to do a skills knowledge exam, and it's based around what you're going to learn online. And I'll tell you, the skills exam is the exact same material I used to use when I was teaching at the college training RV technicians. So what we did is we took many of the modules that we used there, modified it for this environment online, so that way you could learn that information, you could pass that exam. You have to have a 70 to make it work for you to pass. Then we have a code of ethics and a standards of practice exam. It's 50 questions there, not a hard thing at all. So here we have 2 opportunities. Now, when you finish with the online, the e-learning course, you will have your certification. So as I read in a blog the other day, an attorney said, well, just because you graduated from law school, does that mean you're ready to practice law? No. So he very well nailed it, that there's more that you need to do. But you have the knowledge to get you started. You have the credentials that you need, which is going to mean we're going to take you into a 5-day advanced inspector training program. Now, what we find is that this 5-day advanced class is where you get hands-on. You're going to learn how to scope an RV and show you how to start at the front of this RV up on the roof and how to work your way down to the curbside edge, around the back on that edge on the back corner, and then come up the street side and then do a sweep through the middle. And I tell my students, when you finally get inside the RV, when you're doing the interior inspection, you're going to close the door. And these are some of the tidbits we're going to teach you, is that when you close the door behind you, take a deep breath. What do you smell? If you smell mold, that should be a red flag that you know that there's a water intrusion somewhere. You need to find it. It's usually going to be in a closet. There's going to be some wet spots somewhere that's giving off that odor. Or if you smell Aunt Bee's old stinky perfume where they bought it at some little cheap 5 and dime store, some cheap place, you know that they're covering up something. So that means that here again, you need to be a little bit more diligent in finding what are they covering up, what are they trying to hide. And then when you finish that 5-day course, you will have the hands-on knowledge that you will need, as well as the technical skills that you gained when you were doing the e-learning course. And at that point, you can go one of 2 ways. You hit the fork in the road where you can go into business for yourself, or you can go to work for one of the national companies. And as a matter of fact, the gentleman that we're going to introduce you to here in a little bit, his name is Steve Anderson. He's the president of the RV Inspection Connection. He has a company that covers the full United States, so that way they can do inspections. This works very, very well for work campers, people that travel, but it also works well for folks that are going to stay static and say, okay, I'm going to live in Dallas, or I'm going to live in Buffalo, New York, or I'm going to live in Sacramento. Well, if that's your home base, then what you do is you develop your business there. And the thing about it is NRVIA will help you develop a marketing plan, will help you put things together. We will show you material that will help put you forward. Now, if you're one of these guys or ladies that likes to sit and watch television, this may not be for you. If you're expecting somebody to bring everything to you, that's not the way business operates. We've got to get out there and get after it and hustle it. Because if you have the desire, there's the opportunity. But if you're looking for somebody to hand you something, this may not be an opportunity for you now. Okay? Let's just be real honest with each other. Now, like I said, when you take the NRVIA course, the full course cost is going to be $499. I don't know about you. Don't paint me a picture unless you tell me what it's going to cost me, because I want to know what am I in for, what's involved here. So I'm going to walk you through this so that way when we finish today, you know exactly what it would cost you to become an RV inspector. Okay? So this means that you'll get everything that you need to become an NRVIA member, your 2 tests, and of course all the skill learning that you need. Then those of you that want to move on say, yep, this is what I want to do. I've got my knowledge, I've got my information. Now this is for the person who's wanting to become an inspector. But what if you're one of those individuals that were just taking the course online because you wanted more knowledge? Well, you can jump ship at that point. It's strictly up to you. But if you really want to know how this thing is put together, how you can take it from A to Z and become an inspector, you're going to want to spend 5 days with some seasoned inspectors that will take you and show you, walk you through this thing. and then show you some software. NRVIA has software, inspection software, that you can utilize. Now, if you go to work for one of the national companies, they'll have their own software. But the strange thing about it is they sure look an awful lot similar to me. But the other thing is that once you understand how to scope the unit, it's the same, regardless of which software that you're using, because software is just how you track it and document it for your customer. So total cost, if you came through training option number 1, that's taking the online, the 5-day course, and you're ready to go out on your own, $1,644. Then if you decide, hey, if I don't have all the tools you need, and let me just tell you that if you're an experienced individual, you've been working on a few RVs, or you've been around a little while and you do a little mechanicing work on your own RV or your car, your truck, you're probably going to have most of the screwdrivers and pliers and adjustable wrenches and things you're going to need. Chances are you're probably going to want to buy what we call a gas manometer, which is a gas pressure tester, because you'll have to use that for doing your leak test, one of the life safety issues. The other thing is you're probably going to want to buy what we call an amp clamp. It's a bolt-on meter that you check voltages, you check current, you check for flow, as well as continuity. And in the thing about it is, in this advanced class and also in the e-learning class, we show you how to do that. So truthfully, as far as tools, what I'm seeing most guys, if they spend $400 or $500 on tools, they really busted a move on them, because most situations, because the gas pressure manometer is usually about $60, $65. A good amp clamp meter, less than $100. So we're not talking a lot of money. So when you look at this, this is an easy way to get into this, so that way you can get rolling. And the beautiful thing about it is you can work your schedule, your time. Okay? Now, here is the site that you're going to want to go to if you just want to do option 1. You're going to go, see down here in the bottom right, www.nrvia.org. This is the landing page you will come to. Now, let me just say this as kind of a rabbit trail, for lack of a better term. You see the center button where it says Become a Certified RV Inspector, and you say, I'm not sure I want to pull the trigger. Well, before you click off that page, take a look over here to the right where it says Free Trial. I'd like you to take a look at what would be involved for you. And sometimes if we get a little sample, you ever gone into a candy store, where they make fudge and everything, and they'll give you a little sample, and you get a taste of it, and you think, you know what, I'll take a pound of that and 2 pounds of that, and pretty soon you don't realize how much you've spent. But you needed that sample. Certainly that way when you go down to the ice cream place, right? So what we've done is we've given you one course. It's one class, one course of the electrical that you would see if you took the e-learning course. So if you want to sign up there, you can take that free 30-day access to that one electrical course, so you can see what's involved to take these online classes. So, I don't know about you, sometimes I want to see behind the curtain a little bit before I make my jump, and that might be something for you to look at. But when you're ready, then go ahead and punch the button here. It says Become a Certified RV Inspector. Costs you $4.99, gives you 1-year membership, gives you the opportunity to go through and take the e-learning course, take the skills exam, take the Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice. Now, the beautiful thing about it, during that full year, we've allowed these courses to stay online, so you can come back and review. There's videos, there's courses as well as quizzes, so that way you can kind of test your knowledge and see where you're at. Okay? So here's an opportunity for you. $4.99, gets you in, lets you see what you're doing. Now let's take a look at option number 2. Now this is for someone who's not quite as experienced. Maybe they say, you know what, I want to do something. I want to go ahead and jump in here, but I may not be able to take a live class, this online class that you guys keep talking about. And I'm going to show you where to go here in just a moment to take that live class. But here again, you go and you can take the online portion for the $4.99, and then you go ahead and study. Maybe you're one of those individuals that's going to have a break in your schedule. You can take some vacation, you're home for Christmas break, something going on in your life where you've got a little time and you could do some study online. And then you say, you know what, I think I've got what I need here, but I'm a hands-on learner. I want to do a little bit more, because let's face it, some people are very visual learners, and some of us need to get our hands on it. And if that being the way it goes, then what you do is just come and take the 5-day basic training course, what we call the training triad. Okay? So all total for the NRVIA online e-learning, which is normally $4.99, and then the training triad. Those combined would be a cost of $16.44. So what you're going to be able to do is do the e-learning ahead of time, weeks, months. You have up to a full year, and then you can then come and schedule with one of the training triads that's held across different places in the United States. The schedule's always changing. There's new classes being added, classes being completed. And so when you look at that, then that takes you to $16.44. Then you say, okay, now that I've gotten my online, I've had my hands-on, I've had a chance to meet other inspectors, I've had a chance to meet these seasoned inspectors and learn the shortcuts, because I'm telling you guys, sometimes getting the shortcuts is worth a lot because they can save you a lot of grief and a lot of time. If they'll just show you some shortcuts and tidbits and say, hey, if you'll do it this way, you'll get your inspection done quicker. Or if you'll do it this way, you won't miss these things. I mean, they're going to show you tips and tricks of when you take pictures for your inspection, how you take long-range pictures of certain portions of these RVs, because nothing worse than getting back and you're sitting down writing your report and you realize you don't have that one picture that you needed, and then that RV's already gone. So you can't just go over and take a quick snapshot. But if you look at some of your long-range pictures, some of the overview shots, the shot that maybe you took of the roof or some of the sidewalls, a lot of times you can go in there and you can find that component that you're looking for, crop it, and that becomes the photo that you use in that one tidbit that you talk about, that one remark you talk about in your inspection. So they're going to show you these kind of tips and tricks. So then to take that 5-day Learn by Doing advanced class, that's $11.45. So what you're looking at here is $16.44 and $11.45. Okay? So for a grand total of $27.89. And that's what you're looking at. And then here again, you want to buy tools, maybe $400 or $500. And folks, that may be a little bit on the high side for some of you. Some of you, if you don't have tools, this will give you an opportunity to write them off. Because what's going to happen is you're going to want to start a business. Take advantage of some of the tax benefits that come only to those individuals that develop a business. That's the bad thing about it when you're a sole proprietor or you're doing it by yourself. You don't get the advantages until you realize that, hey, if I did this right, if I structured my business correctly, I can write off my tools, I can write off my traveling, I can write off, and just the list goes on and on. And so these things that are associated with you doing a business, you'll be able to write them off. So this is option number 2 for the little bit less experienced individual, but wants to get the hands-on, but also wants to have the knowledge, and then wants to get the advanced inspector scoping and how to use the software. So here again, you sign up by going to the NRVIA so you can get your $4.99, get your 1-year subscription, get you your e-learning portion of it. And so it's just like it was if you were an experienced. But what you're going to do then is you're going to add the RV Maintenance Tech course. Now we call, if you go look down here at the bottom, you'll see rvtechcourse.com. If you've got a pen, I strongly recommend that you write that down. Go onto that site and take a look at what they have. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of it, but this is only just a piece of what you will see when you come to the website, because I lay out for you what we're going to be teaching. Now, when we designed this training course, this triad training, what it was set up for was for individuals that were maybe going to be looking at, just want to know more about their unit. We had a lot of folks that say, look, I want to join the lifestyle. I think I would really enjoy being an RVer, maybe even full-time or maybe even part-time. And so we said, well, come, we'll teach you how this RV works. We'll show you some of the basic maintenance things that you can do yourself. Because, folks, 80% of the problems that go wrong with these RVs are easy to access and easy to fix. So it always surprised me sometimes why people would bring an RV into the shop, and it was all because they didn't know. And many of these things they could have done themselves, like flipping a circuit breaker, resetting a GFCI. Just simple things that if people would only just stop and think, wait a minute, I know what's going on. I've seen this before. And that's what happens when you come and you learn. Then we had campgrounds that were coming to us and saying, look, do you happen to have anybody that's looking about becoming a full-time RVer that could come to work for our campground, and we'll, many times they will trade out or they'll work a special deal with you on the spot, the RV spot, so you get all the amenities at a reduced cost, or maybe they trade out with you on it for some of your labor. But they were saying the other issue that I've got is that I've got people that come to our campground, they come in for maybe a long weekend, and they begin to start developing some sort of technical issue, and they leave. And we lose our revenue for that weekend. And so chances of filling that spot up are pretty slim because we already had it booked, but they left. And so they're saying if you had somebody that had a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of experience, that we could just call them a maintenance tech, and we don't want them to rebuild the RV, we just want them to help the customer. It may be the bypass valves are in the wrong position. It may be the water heaters got an issue with it, the battery's low, circuit breakers need a trip. All of these things that a maintenance technician at a campground could help. And then what that does is then that makes that individual more valuable to that campground owner. And so what we find is that when they move, this is the work camper, the person moves to the location, now they've got a resume that they can say, hey, I have this knowledge, I have this skill, I have this ability that I can take care of your customers. Not only can I do work camping type work and do other things around the campground for you, but I can also help you with your customers and their situation. And then the third part, and that's why we call it the triad, is that help you develop your own RV business. So just understand this training triad was put together by Mobile RV Academy. That's the company that Lady E and I own. And then an organization called Work Camper News, which Steve Anderson, the guest that you're going to meet a little later, actually owns. But it's amazing all of the folks that call him looking for technical advice, looking for someone to help them because they've got an RV. Mr. Anderson was sharing with me he's had sons and daughters that will call and say, Mom and Dad are hanging up their keys, or maybe Dad passed away and we have to administer the will, or we've got, this thing's going into probate, we need to get this thing taken care of. Do you know anybody that could inspect this thing and tell us the value of it, to kind of help us determine what the value of this unit is, so we can make sure that we equally and fairly divide up these assets that need to be divided among family members and pay off the debts that need to be paid off. So if you go to rvtechcourse.com, you'll see what we're talking about. Okay. Now, this is what the website's going to look like when you land on it. This gives you an idea of what you're looking at. So this is for those of you that want to do the hands-on, technical, learn-by-doing type thing. Now, this is not the advanced class. This is for the basic training, RV training. It's 5 days also. And guys, I'm going to tell you, I teach this class. We've got some others that are teaching. I teach this class, and I guarantee you come Friday or come the last day of that class, you're going to be a tired puppy, because your days start very early, and we spend a lot of time in the classroom, but we spend even more time outside taking things apart, working on them, doing things. And so with that being said, those of you that are hands-on learners, this is what you're after right here, to get your hands on it. A lot of the mystery will go away. And like I tell a lot of folks, many of you will come to us with what we call islands of knowledge. You have a little bit of knowledge of this, a little bit of knowledge of that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to help you tie some of these islands of knowledge together. And it's always interesting to watch those aha moments that people have, say, now I see what they were talking about. So you really do have 3 electrical systems in every RV? Sure do. And they said, but I didn't understand that. I was always confused how this worked and how that worked. Folks, there are 3 electrical systems in every RV. And there are 2 water systems. I mean, we've got one from the city, we've got the tank system that we bring on board. I mean, think about the waste tanks that we've got, We got black water tanks, you've got gray water tanks, and sometimes you'll have galley tanks, and then depending on how the rig is configured, you may have more than one black water tank for the toilets. So all of these things play into your knowledge and helping you tie those islands of knowledge together. Now, this is an overview of what you will see when you come and spend the 5 days with us doing the training triad. We're going to go over electrical. And folks, let me just tell you, sometimes day 1 stretches into day 2 because we go so deep in teaching the electrical. Now, we're not talking atom and electron flow. We're putting in simple terms. And like I tell everybody, with 3 electrical systems, you need to understand the difference between alternating current and direct current, like the kind we have coming out of our batteries. There's 2 different types of batteries that we use in these RVs. And so we're going to go through it. We're going to talk about voltage, which is, I always tell everybody, it's push of the electrons. And amperage is nothing more than how we measure the flow of those electrons. And then we're going to talk about resistance, how it's the restriction of those flow. And then we're going to talk about wattage. Now, this is how most equipment is rated. This is how they assign a power rating of the ability of that piece of equipment to do its job. And we're going to talk about all that and go through it. And you're going to be amazed at what you're going to walk away with. And it's not stuff that, you know, you feel like you have to have a trigonometry degree or a degree in algebra or a degree in geometry in order to understand this. We take it and walk it through and compare it to things that we already know. So that way we do the quick tie-in. We're going to talk about propane. I'm going to show you how to do a leak test on an RV. It's so critical that you know if this RV has a gas leak. I mean, my goodness. It's amazing how many people we do inspections on and how many of them have gas leaks and didn't even know. Or even better yet, we pull out the LP detector and find out that somebody has pulled this thing off the wall, cut the wires, put it back in because they got tired of hearing it sound off. Because what we talk about in the class is this: there's only 3 things that are going to make an LP detector sound off. The first one being is that the LP detector picked up the smell of gas. Something's going on. It says alert, alert. The other thing is the LP detector goes bad. And trust me, most of the manufacturers say within 5 to 7 years this LP detector is bad and needs to be replaced. It's no longer sensing what it needs to. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is that we have low battery voltage. If you lose the battery to your rig, maybe you haven't maintained it, that LP detector needs that battery to stay alive. And without it, it goes into a small alarm. So there's only 3 things that make an LP detector to go off. And so these are the things that we talk about and we go through in the class, so that way you, when you're working on your own unit, you're working on somebody else's as a campground tech or maintenance tech person, even at a dealership or a campground, or doing inspections, you understand what you're looking at. Then we look at the water systems. We're going to go through the appliances. And what I'm going to show you with the appliances is usually the top 5 things that you will encounter with these appliances, whether it's a water heater, whether it's an air conditioner, whether it's a refrigerator, whether it's a furnace. I mean, simple things that we can do to maintain these units. And I'm going to walk you through how you take care of it, how you can service it without having to totally disassemble this thing. I'll show you how to take things apart, where maybe 3 screws will get you where you need to be instead of taking all 10 of them out, because all you need to have access is to certain components. But if somebody will show you how, you can work on that 80% of the things that are having problems with. Then we're going to look at the exterior, slide-out issues. We're going to look at some roofs and some awnings, those sort of things, because these are things that you, if you live in an RV, you need to know about. If you own an RV, or if you're going to do inspections, these are the things that we want to know about. Now, option 3. And so let's just say that you don't have time to take the online. Well, what do? You come and take the basic course. You take the 5 days with us, the hands-on. We give you the full meal deal. And I keep telling everybody, the Training Triad is actually a course on steroids. It really is, because of what we're teaching and getting you ready. And then with that, you then take, when I say you're taking the Training Triad, what you're going to do there is you're going to get your 1-year subscription to the NRVIA so you can have your certification. You also have access to this material online for a full year after you finish the Training Triad, and then you get your full 5-day basic Training Triad course material. Come in, hands-on. We send you home with the same material on a big wafer drive that you take home with you, plug into a USB port of your computer. So you're taking material home with you. You have material online so you can utilize it. So there should be no reason why, if you're having some questions about how did that work again, you can either go online and get this material, or you can pull it off your wafer and get it. And then the next course that you're going to want to take if you're headed towards becoming an inspector is to take the 5-day live hands-on course, what we call the Learn by Doing course, okay, the advanced. So when it's all said and done, we're taking you through the same training material, but there's different ways that you can come in. It's like going into a building. Some people come in the side door, some people come in the back door, some in the front door. Which way do you want to come? What does your schedule allow? Which parking lot or which parking space is closest to the door that you need to access? Here's what we're trying to set up for you, so that way you can do it. When it's all said and done, after you finish one of these 3 options, then you have the opportunity to go and become your own RV inspector, go into business for yourself, and like I say, NRVIA has material to help you, the software. And people say, well, what about insurance? Well, let me just tell you, with insurance, we have, because we've got such a large group, they've actually developed some general liability policies for us, which works out great because we can get these premiums down. Now, those of you that maybe are looking at that you have a mobile service or that you're doing campground maintenance, They also have a rider that you can put on this policy. Trust me, between the rider and the basic course that gives you $1 million general liability insurance, those two together will cost you less than what you would be paying as a mobile tech. I'll tell you that for a fact because I know what the fees are. I have paid them. And so when this company put this together for us, and they're an A-rated company, so they've got the backing behind us. But we were able to show them the training, what we do, how we do it, and then we've had some track record with them. So now we've got this price down where it's affordable. But then if you say, you know what, it sure would be nice to have somebody help me walk through this, help bring some business in. While I'm bringing business in, they're sending business my way because maybe I'm just fixed here at a certain location of maybe Houston or, like you say, Sacramento or wherever you may be. Here's an opportunity for you to where you can still have work coming to you because they have work that they have and they need to find an inspector in your area, and they just dole it your way and give you a call. And Mr. Anderson, I think, is going to share with you what they do at RV Inspection Connection. Pretty standard for all the others as well, but Mr. Anderson's got the company that's countrywide across the United States. We're also seeing that this is going to be developed, or is being developed as we speak at this very moment. So those of you that come and take this course now will know that, hey, if you're in Canada, here's an opportunity for you as well. So those of you that are from our upper North America, here's an opportunity for you as well. The beautiful thing about it is you can take the exact same courses, the NRVIA online, or you can take the training triad, and then you can go to work in Canada doing inspections up there if you're Canadian. So just realize the United States and Canada, the rules are a little different in how it goes about, but we have a gentleman up there by the name of Rob Rees who's handling Canada because he gets it. This guy's pretty sharp tech, let me tell you. I've had him in classes with me. This guy gets it. And so Rob handles Canada, and so we're looking for inspectors up there because the market is just booming up there, just like it is in the US of A. So total cost, if you were to go training option number 3, is $27.89, okay, plus your tools. So when you begin to look at what it costs to set up some of these businesses and how you have to buy all this special equipment and equipment that is kind of proprietary type of equipment, you realize real quick who's making the money on the deal. But because we have such a large need for inspectors, here's an opportunity that you and I can go out and run a small business out of the back of our vehicle and do quite well. And so when you think about it that way, you're not having to get hit with a whole lot of startup costs. Or if maybe your budget is such that where maybe you need to get into this a little at a time, then there's the option for you. Do the online, then do the training triad. So there's some opportunities there for you, okay? So like I say, if you go to rvtechcourse.com, and that gives you the basic training. This is the training triad. If you go to the NRVIA, let's see if I can point over here, the nrvia.org, then you can learn about getting your membership that's good for a year. So those two work together to give you what you need to get your credentials. And then, of course, you're ready then to take the Learn by Doing, the scoping, and learning how to use software. So let me ask you, can you see yourself wearing that hat? Well, we've got almost 300 of us that do. Why not you? Let me show you this gentleman right here. I'm quite proud of him, quite honestly, because he'll call me periodically and say, Mr. Cooper, I'm ready for some more work. He said, just keep it coming. Now, James is out of Dallas, and he works for a company that they have these little service trucks, or these delivery trucks that drive up and down neighborhoods and deliver food to different people's homes. I won't even tell you the company. In all fairness to them, I think they would probably say, hey, what are you trying to do? So we won't let the cat out of the bag, okay? But he told me, he said, Mr. Cooper, sometimes I make as much on a weekend doing inspections that I made all week long selling food door to door. Now, he's a heck of a guy. He's a go-getter. So my question to you is, do you have that drive? But you can see he's got a smile on his face. And he told me, he said, just as soon as I can get my business built up here in Dallas, he said, I'm juggling right now between a full-time job and doing this part-time as doing inspections. But he said, as soon as I can get my inspection business built up, that's where I'm going. So, and I believe James is on the right track. I really do, because he's got some moxie. And so let me just say that to you. Is that you? Is that something that you have a desire to do, is to become an independent, to be on your own? to be able to call your own shots, to where maybe you don't want to work today because you've got things you're going to need to do with the kiddos, or maybe you need to go and do something. Well, you can schedule your work according to what you need. Now, unfortunately, some of us need to get bills paid off, and so here's an opportunity for you to pay off your debts and get things taken care of, maybe pay towards some college funds for your children. Whatever your need is, here's an opportunity for you to be able to do it. And the good thing about it is we're not talking major investment. We're not talking all this physical labor that sometimes we have to do with these part-time jobs, or take on part-time jobs that don't always pay real well. So take a look at what James is doing. Now, Joe Carpenter was another one of our success stories. Now, this was back in March of 2014. Now, Joe came to us at the first day of class, and he just told us, he said, I've taken a lot of classes. If this thing doesn't measure up to what I think it will, I'm going to come see you, and I want you to pay me my money back. Sure, no problem. Well, Joe finished, and I guess it's probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months later, he called me. He said, Cooper, I've gone from a zero to a hero. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what does that mean, Joe? He said, I'm working as at a campground as a work camper. And he said, I had a gentleman come up to me and was talking about he's having problems with his water heater. And he said, I told him what the 3 most common issues that we have with these water heaters, the things that you taught us in class. And he said, the man went back to his RV, come back a little later, and he said, by golly, that's what it was. And so Joe was so proud of himself. He said, now what happens is, he said, they call me on my radio all the time. Joe, can you go take care of this? We've got a customer over. And so what he's dealing with is now all of a sudden he's the go-to guy. So he was, Joe had already finished his career. He was just doing this. He was doing a work camping type job just to kind of have a place to stay as they saw and traveled. But now he's working at different campgrounds where he may have 7, maybe 14 days off. And so he does inspections during those off days. So when I see that, I'm thinking, I get it, Joe. I see where you're going. Because like he told me, he said, man, 1 or 2 inspections, and he said, I can pay for all my fuel for a month. And so I'm thinking, way to go, Joe. I didn't see that one coming. So take a look at the RVTechCourse.com. Now, the reason why I keep bringing this up is because some of you have taken online courses and are a little gun shy of it. So with that being the case, take the hands-on. Go to this website. We've got a list of classes, where they're located, the dates, also the agenda of the classes, and so that way you can see what's going on. And like I say, the RV Tech course, and if you come and take the RV Tech course, you sign up for it, you still get the $4.99 for the RV inspection, for the nrvia.org. So it's just part of the package. So if you say, you know what, while I'm waiting for my class to start in 3 weeks, I can go ahead and get started with my online class. Or I don't have time to do that. I've blocked off a week. I'm going to take vacation for a week, and I'm going to go down and take this RV Tech course and the training triad, and I'm going to spend 5 days there. So whichever way you want to go, there's an opportunity for you. Now, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Steve Anderson. Now, Mr. Anderson is a straight shooter, and he's going to share some things with you. And I asked him to join us today because I felt like that he could give some perspective for those of you that are saying, okay, I can do this, but I've got that, I've hit that terror barrier, that thing, that little fear. I call it a purple monkey. He gets on your shoulders and he talks to you. He said, are you sure you can do this? What's the wife going to say when you tell her what you're going to spend and what you're going to be spending your time doing? You've done so many other things before. Can you do it? Well, let me just tell you, Mr. Anderson is going to share with you what he has done, what he has put together. He's going to walk you through that. Mr. Anderson, are you with us, sir?
I sure am, Mr. Cooper. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear. Folks, this is Mr. Steve Anderson. I will say that he comes from a little community of Heber Springs, Arkansas. But you know what? I catch him up and down the highway all the time. We seem to be kind of, I won't say bumping into each other, but we keep seeing each other all the time. And I thought, you know what? I saw him today, and I thought, Steve, you got to come online and talk to people and share with them what you guys are doing with RV Inspection Connection. So with that being said, can I turn this over to you, sir?
All right. It'll be my pleasure. Thank you very much, Mr. Cooper. I appreciate the education that you've just provided this audience to help them understand how they can get involved in this. It's literally a blossoming new industry. And folks, this is an industry that has not really existed over the past years. Yes, there's been people in dealerships do inspections, but not to the degree of what we are promoting it and how NRVIA is educating now the consumer as well as the dealerships to understand that this need is so great. So as he already shared with you, we had the idea about actually it was about a year and a half ago to develop a boutique type of inspection company. And what happened was our boutique idea became very popular, and we had individuals who we thought were just going to be working in one part of the United States who would then say, could I work in the Northeast? Could I work in the West, etc.? Short story being, we are now a national organization, and as my slide's showing you right there, our goal is we're at the heart of the RV inspection industry here in the United States. And as we spend a little time visiting on this webinar, what I would like to do is to share with you why we are premier and what makes us different, and in my opinion will continue to make us on the top rung of that ladder when it comes to RV inspection companies. This is our website that you have in front of you that you can now see on the screen. I encourage you to go visit our website. It's RV Inspection, that's RV, the word inspection.com. Here you'll find a lot of information about our company, and I highly encourage you to go and check it out. On this website, you're going to see a number of rotating screens on this very first page, and here you see a gentleman that's actually doing an inspection, but you're going to see some others because we tailored this page to not just be targeted to providing information for the potential RV inspector, but also for the individual who is needing to have an inspection, who's thinking about buying an RV, who wants to stay away from having a money pit. And some of you out there listening to this, maybe you have been in that situation. Maybe you have purchased a used RV, a pre-owned RV, and ended up with a lot of headaches. If you had had an inspection done before and had a better understanding of what was taking place with all of the various systems within that RV, you may not have purchased it, you might have walked away completely, or you would have gone to the owner and said, I need this repaired, this repaired, this repaired, or negotiated a lower price knowing that you were going to have them repaired. So this website is going to provide you with a lot of information. I highly encourage you to come and visit this. And after you do that, I want you to start thinking about, all right, if I go through the training that Mr. Cooper just laid out for me, I could either become my own independent RV inspector, and we know there will be a lot of people do that out of that 1,800 number that Mr. Cooper talked about. We know that a good percentage of folks are doing that and will continue to do that. But what I'm looking for this company, for RV Inspection Connection, I would like to have 450 to 650 people across the United States, many of them going to be mobile, because as Mr. Cooper mentioned, I have another company that I operate called Work Camper News. It's been around for about 28 years. And we have a fair number of work campers who have gone through the training, have become certified RV inspectors, and they provide mobility for us. So when we do have a lot of activity taking place in a particular geography, we can ask some of them to move to that area. But we also need to have a fair number of individuals that are static, that are not going to be moving about, that will be developing their business within a given territory, or an area, I should say, because we don't really get into territories. So I'm going to encourage you to check out this website. And what I want to do is take this a little bit step further as we talk about why RV Inspection Connection. Why would you decide to go with an organization like mine instead of just doing your own thing? Because that's the choice that you will need to be making here. And first of all, this is number one for a very specific reason. We can provide a structure with the systems that you do not have to build. And a lot of people, they say, well, what do you mean by systems? Well, for instance, a system, when you develop a business, you have to have a system to be able to market, to get the word out. You have to have a system to be able to take phone calls. You have to have a system to be able to take orders. You have to have a system to be able to do the financial transactions. The system to have the software to utilize to actually develop a quality professional inspection. The ability to get that inspection sent out on a timely basis, which a client, when they're having an RV inspection done, the majority of them would like to have it within the shortest period of time possible. So those are the types of things that you're going to need to be developing if you're going to do your own thing. With RV Inspection Connection, we have developed those systems and continue to improve upon them and improve upon them. And the larger we grow, the more we have to do because of the volume of things that are taking place. And that includes all the way down to the number of people that we now have on a daily basis just answering the telephone. That has grown. It's actually almost doubled, or it's almost tripled, I should say, over the past 6 months. We expect that to happen again in 3 months and happen again in probably 6 months to a year. And so we provide the systems. That's one of the key ones. Second thing is marketing support and business development support. Now, marketing support comes in a couple of different forms. Marketing support, what we are doing, for instance, we're heavily using social media. We are reaching out to the individuals via the internet with something called Facebook. Many of you have heard of that. And a lot of people do not realize, even though they utilize Facebook, they may not understand how phenomenal the tool is and how it can be utilized as a very powerful marketing tool to be able to focus to the individuals who have interest in RVs. They potentially have the economic capability to purchase an RV. They're even in a certain geographic area that we can target market to, etc. And then there's the business development support to help you understand and provide you with the connections with the people that can give you the professional support you need to develop a company that you're going to want to have. All of our inspectors are required to have a business entity. And a lot of people are not familiar with that term. What a business entity is simply, in our case, a minimum of an LLC, a limited liability company, or an S corporation. And for some of you, you just went, whoa, I don't know anything about that. Those are scary. That's what the big companies do and all of that. That's not true, folks. What we can share with you and provide you some great resources is that an LLC is very, very, very easy to put together. Of course, you got someone who's doing it, an attorney that understands the process and the procedure. As a matter of fact, I have, with my Work Camper membership, I encourage every work camper to have a small business and an LLC because of the opportunities that it opens for the ability to take certain write-offs that you don't have if you operate a business as a sole proprietor, which is what a lot of people do. Not working with our company, that's not a possibility. All right, the third thing is continuing educational support. For instance, learning more about how to market with social media. Because you're going to want to do things on your own as well as what we are doing on a corporate structure. The folks that are having success with our company are the folks that are not sitting on their hands waiting for us to feed all of the business to them. They're developing their own business. And I'm going to share with you the economics of that here in just a few minutes. Because the more you learn, the stronger you become as a marketer, the better your business is going to be. And any business that is not marketing is not in business. And so continuing educational support is a key element for you. And here's the biggie. This is what I've heard from so many folks. You're not alone. We have literally about 125 folks involved in RV Inspection Connection right now. Remember, I said already, I need 450 to 650. So I'm still in a growing mode. And we've been blessed to be in this mode because the business is starting to open up now as the industry starts to learn that we are here, that other inspectors are out there that are trained, that this is a viable thing that individuals should be utilizing. As Mr. Cooper mentioned, 60 to 65% of the RVs are sold privately. There's no dealership involvement. But what's happening now, my company has now done its first 2 inspections that were purchased by dealerships to have us come in and do an inspection as a third party to provide an unbiased opinion for their customer. And folks, it's the blossoming age of what we're going to see in the industry of this certified pre-owned concept that you've already seen in the car industry. So not doing it alone is a big factor for a lot of folks, and one that I know is one of the reasons that people want to come and play in our sandbox, as I tell people. Here's a couple examples of some folks doing RV inspections. Now, what I want you to also notice, we've got guys and we have gals that are doing this. I've had ladies say, well, could I do this? Absolutely you can. Well, I don't have a real great mechanical background. I can tell you from the training that Mr. Cooper laid out, if you will take that training and you will apply that training and be very serious about it, you are, just as Sue here on the right, she went through all of this training, and she's an accountant. That's what her career was, and now she has the ability, number one, to take great care of her RV, but number two, the ability to do RV inspections. Okay? So there's no bias as far as whether this is for guys and gals. We have folks that are younger, we have folks that are older. The key is physically you've got to be able to be mobile. You've got to be willing to get up on the roof of an RV. You've got to be willing to get down on your back and look underneath, etc. And so that's the key, and that's the things that you have to ask yourself is, could I do that? All right, so let me share with you a little bit about the tools and the systems that my company RV Inspection Connection provides. First of all, we have a very proprietary piece of software that is cloud-based. That simply means, all those wonderful words, is that you don't load this to your computer, so you don't have a program that has to be updated all the time, etc. We maintain it on our servers, and when you have an inspection that we have connected you up with or that you've brought to the table and we're going to provide you the software for, then what's going to happen is you will have access to that template on your computer to provide the inspection information, and then you're going to submit it. And the first thing that's actually going to happen once you submit it is it's going to go to what we call an IMT, which we have a number of around the United States. We have about 11 of them, and that's an acronym for Inspector Manager Trainer, and their responsibility within their region that they are, within their branch, their responsibility is to be the first eyes to look over your inspection that you've just submitted. And once they've done that, then it's finalized, and then the corporate office will take it from the cloud, put the finishing touches on it, make the connection with the client, get the finished product in their hands. So we provide this proprietary connection to our cloud-based inspection software, and as long as you are a contractor working with RV Inspection Connection, that is the tool that we provide you. And I'm not going to take the time to get into all the specifics, but we have 3 different levels of inspection that we can provide our clients, so depending on what their needs are, and that's where we are today. That will change most likely in the future, where there may be 4, there may be 5, depending on what the needs are for the clients as we encounter them, as this industry continues to blossom and to grow. Second thing is, you as a contractor, because this is key, the IRS states that to be a contractor, you're calling your own schedule, you're setting your own agenda. So you literally provide us with a schedule of when you are not available to do inspections. And that's what this wonderful piece of software called Inspection Support Network is, that we provide to our inspectors that contract with us to use. You have the ability to go in there. There's a calendar for the month. You flag when you are not available to be contacted for inspections. And that's what we're going to live by. If you tell us you're not available on a Tuesday and we have an inspection that is right next door, then we're going to look for the next inspector that says they're available on that Tuesday. All right? But it's a fantastic tool. It does a number of other things and provides communication between our corporate office and the inspectors out there in the field. But the key is it allows us to have you communicate your availability to us. Now, what we have done is we have literally taken the United States. Remember I said we started out thinking we were going to be down in the southeast in this boutique little business. That has blossomed out, as you can see from this map. The different colors are branches that we have set up, and you see IMT's names on those branches. And yes, there are some of the names are duplicated because we have some IMTs that are handling more than one branch. And the beauty of this is you can work in any of these areas. Let's say that you are someone who falls in love with the RVing lifestyle, you can travel. For instance, maybe you're down in the Florida area for one portion of the year and you want to be in the Northwest for the summer. You can travel to that area. We move you from the branch down in the Southeast to the branch in the Northwest. And we are then able to provide opportunities as inspection business comes available in that area to you. So that's one of the reasons. There's many reasons why we develop so many branches, but you can look at each one of these branches literally as individual RVIC businesses because they have their own back-end systems that function and support them. All right, so once you have done that inspection using the software, you're going to accomplish that inspection on your computing device. We actually utilize a combination of computers as well as scope sheets, we call them, which are actually paper templates of exactly what's on the computer software. Because we found that utilizing even some of the best tablets do not function well in sunlight when you're on the rooftop of an RV, especially that has a white reflective roof. And so you're going to get that information into into our software. It's going to include photos, and you're going to take a large volume of photos. If you are doing one of our top-end inspections, which we call a premier inspection, then you are going to take probably in the vicinity of about 300 photos during that session. To do a premier inspection, yes, you're going to spend quite a few hours. If it's a diesel pusher, which terminology some of you may not know, it's a larger rig that has a diesel engine in the back, thus it pushes the rig, and maybe it's 40 foot long, which is a common length of diesel pushers now. You're going to spend, and this is once you really get some experience down, but you're going to spend a good quality 8 hours doing that inspection. And you're going to be collecting those photos, and you're going to be collecting the data. That RV is going to be speaking to you, providing the information that you're going to put into that inspection report. And once that's done, then it literally gets sent to this cloud-based server. And, you know, a lot of people, they talk about, well, it goes to the cloud. And truly what the cloud is just a large server base that the company that we work with that provides the cloud inspection software provides for us. Then there's some additional things that you're going to do as an inspector. Services such as oil and fluid analyses. They're going to be available to our inspection clients. We have the ability, that same diesel pusher I was talking to you about, we have the ability to provide analysis through 3 different laboratories that we work with in the United States by pulling a sample of the oil from the crankcase, which is, it sounds difficult. No, you're not crawling underneath and popping the nut out or anything like that. You're doing this standing on your feet, staying clean, and putting it in a sample, getting that to that lab as quickly as we can. They will analyze that sample, and because of the expertise that they have with their technicians and their scientific crew, they can give us a report telling us what's going on inside that engine. If they find that there are metal filings of certain types or different types of metals that are floating in that fluid, that's a good indication that there's something going on with certain parts that have they're made of certain types of metals. And that's how that type of testing can provide that type of information. It's a way for that person thinking about buying that motorhome to have a good idea of what the condition is of that engine without having to have the thing physically torn apart to be looked at. That's pretty intrusive, and most people will not go to that degree. But folks, a diesel engine in one of these pushers, if that thing goes out, a rebuild is $25,000. If they have to replace, they're talking more of $35,000 to $50,000, depending on where it is in the country and where it's at. And so these oil and fluid analyses are very valuable, and the ones that we have done so far, because we've only been doing inspections since about the middle part of July of 2014, and already over 25% of the samples we have drawn have shown some type of irregularity in them. Now, not to the point where, you know, the engine was going to die or whatever, but to the point where it showed that there was some wear in a certain type of part in the engine or something in that line. And you say, well, is that a red flag for the person not to buy it? Maybe. But what it is it's good information for them to understand what the condition is of the equipment that they're buying. Okay? All right. Then what our folks have with tools and systems that RV Inspection Connection provides, we have a home office team. That home office team it's a combination of individuals that are actually in the home office, which is located in Heber Springs, Arkansas. There's a building there that I own, which I house Work Camper News in. I also have RV Inspection Connection office there. And right now we only have one individual in that office, and everybody else that's working for us are virtual, meaning we have people answering the phone and setting appointments that are working from their own home. If they have an internet connection and a great phone connection, they can do that. We have virtual people that are working from RVs in different parts of the country that are answering our phones and are setting inspection appointments, etc. So we have a team that's going to grow larger and larger that just won't be located in a cubicle city in Heber Springs. Our goal when we started developing this business, we didn't want to have a big office building anywhere. We wanted to provide opportunity and flexibility to people, and that's exactly what is taking place. So having a strong home office team, that is a big factor when it comes down to having a quality system to operate your RV inspection business with. All righty. So people say, well, once the inspection is completed, do I make any money? Well, absolutely. When you function as a contractor with RV Inspection Connection, we do direct deposits twice a month. Goes into your contractor's bank account. It actually has to go into a business bank account. Now, folks, I have to make one note on here. You see, I have it in parentheses. This assumes activity. This assumes that you had inspection activity. Now, I've had some folks who got started with us, and they said, well, you said you would deposit money into our bank account twice a month. No. Only if there was inspection activity that took place, because I'm not hiring employees. I'm looking for small business individuals who desire to build an inspection company. Okay? All right. And I've had some people already, since we've been on this call today, say, well, what kind of money can we make? Well, you will earn, as an inspector with us, 50% of the base inspection fee by doing the inspection. So RV Inspection Connection sets all the mechanics up, gets the inspection scheduled, gets the location scheduled, gets the full hookup confirmed, all of those things. On average, about an hour and a half of phone communications take place with a client to have it ready for the inspector to show up and do that inspection. And so you go and you do the inspection, you submit it back to us, we do the confirmation, we do the quality checking with that IMT, and then we do the finalization of that inspection. And some of our inspections are simply disseminated to the client by PDF online. Our upper level inspections are actually done in hard copy in a binder, which is a very nice presentation that we encourage the client to have that become part of their RV. So 50% of the base inspection. On average, what we see is about $600 for an average inspection. And it varies. If it's a smaller travel trailer, it's going to be less. If it's a diesel pusher, it's going to be much more. A diesel pusher will average $1,200 to $1,600, just to give you an idea. So you'll earn 50%. And I'm showing you what I believe is a conservative number that you could earn about $300 as an average commission per inspection. All right, so that's what I encourage people to do when they start developing their business plan and thinking about doing this, is thinking about it from that standpoint of money. Now, once you get rolling and you start marketing yourself, what's going to happen is you're going to have people come to you and say, okay, I want to have an inspection done. All right, you bring the business to the table. You're going to earn an additional 10%. We're still going to do all the mechanics of getting all the front end set up, making sure it's got all the proper elements as far as the full hookups as needed, et cetera, and then do all the finalization of the report, et cetera, but we're going to pay you 60% commission. Now, here's the cool part, folks. You're going to be talking to people. People are going to get to know you. We have inspectors that have signage on their trucks, etc., and they are developing business that they may never ever do themselves. Okay? So catch this. Just because of the fact that you talked about it, that you had signage promoting it, etc., they contacted you, you developed the lead. Even if, just like the guy in my slide here, you're sitting on the top of your RV out there on a sunny afternoon with the fishing pole in the water, somebody else is doing that inspection. Yes, they're getting paid the 50%. You're still going to earn 10% fee for bringing that inspection to the table. Folks, we've got some folks that are earning pretty decent money just by getting out there and promoting inspections, and they're not actually even doing inspections. Think about that. All right. After you become an NRVIA member, all right, and that's key. So this is steps to become an RVIC contractor. First of all, you've got to become an NRVIA certified member. You are then going to need to schedule yourself into an RV Inspector Learn by Doing advanced course. Mr. Cooper's already shared all of that with you. Folks, that's bare bones to even think about contracting with my company. And successful completion, I should say, also. All right, so just because you took them, but if you didn't make it through the courses, you didn't get the mock inspections done and pass with not necessarily flying colors. I'm looking for quality individuals, but I'm looking for people that can do the job. All right, then this is bare bones. This is the first step. You've got to go through that Learn by Doing course, and it's a 5-day hands-on course. It's going to prepare you how to either do your own business or to apply with RV Inspection Connection. And as I just said, every RV Inspection Connection inspector is required to graduate from this course before they can even apply to contract with us. And I must also say that just because you go through all of this is not it's not a slam dunk that we will bring you on as a contractor. We have a number of things we go through. We do background checks. We will be looking, doing criminal background checks, etc. Because the folks that we bring into this premier, state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line company, I'm going to work to maintain that we've got quality individuals in there. Okay? All right, so then what happens is I'm going to suggest, once you've done all of that, that you develop a timeline. Anyone who's ever developed a business, if you're listening to us, you know that there were things you needed to do. If you have never developed a business, this is going to be all brand new to you, and you've got a learning curve to do. The first thing you've got to do is to develop a business plan. The SBA, the Small Business Association.org, has some great templates out there that I highly encourage you to go take a look at. A business plan is, in simplified terms, it's taking a look at this concept and deciding, should I do this or not? Because you may sit down, crank out a business plan and decide, this isn't for me. Well, are you a failure when you do that? Absolutely not. You're a winner because you didn't go down a path you shouldn't be going down. But if the business plan proves out for you that, yes, this is a path I should be going down, then the next steps you're going to need to do is develop a strategic plan, and that's where you get your NRVIA credentials, become a certified individual through NRVIA, get your business entity developed that I mentioned. It's going to need to be a minimum of an LLC, and we can help you with that and give you some great referrals to individuals that can. Get your liability insurance program in place. We require our inspectors to have a $1 million liability policy in place. Then attend one of those RV Inspector Learn by Doing courses and graduate. There's a number of these all over the country. You will be able to actually get in and see where they are on the NRVIA site once you have become a certified RV inspector. They're not even available to you until you have become a certified RV inspector through NRVIA. And as you've seen before, wait, there's more. Then the next step on your timeline is to apply to become a contractor with RVIC. And as I mentioned already, training does not guarantee contracting with RVIC. If things are found on a background check or whatever, then we will have to have some discussion as to whether we will move forward. So if you become a contractor with us, there's going to be some additional training online, because through your 5-day course that Learn by Doing, you're going to learn how to use the NRVIA software. It's a good piece of software that you can use in developing your own business and develop a quality inspection. But I've already mentioned we have 3 different levels of inspection. And folks, our software is more robust. And so there's going to be some more training for you to learn how to utilize our software, how to do a premier inspection. If you can do a premier inspection, you can do the lower level inspections using our software. And what we're going to do is we're going to hook you up with an IMT that you're going to work one-on-one with. You're also going to learn how to go through the specifics of our risk management program, because we have a very specific program that we ask our contractors to utilize. There is an additional fee that is paid to the IMTs of $397 for that training. But again, you're going to have some hands-on experience using our software, but also the connection with that IMT. This is not a travel to a location type experience. This will be done over the phone, via Skype, etc. And you will do those 2 more mock inspections on 2 different vehicles than you've already inspected during your Learn by Doing course. And this is the real deal, folks. This is where you prove to us that you have what it takes to go out and do an inspection that we can then say is a professional inspection that we would feel good about providing to anyone to have you do for them. So with that said, once you've completed all that, then you have the knowledge, the understanding, the confidence to be ready for your first inspection business as a contractor with RV Inspection Connection. Well, Mr. Cooper, that was a lot of verbiage that I had to throw out there, and I did get a little windy, I know, but hopefully I gave them a pretty good indication of who we are, what we are, and that we are all about developing a quality operation and keeping those standards that NRVIA is setting, and those code of ethics is top of the list. And you've already shared with them that, you know, they've got 3 options, the 1, 2, 3. Go to nrvia.org to learn more about getting signed up for NRVIA and doing the e-learning. And folks, really take a look at the rvtechcourse.com. Highly encourage that one, especially if you are wanting to know more about your own RV, because we're finding the inspectors that come to work as contractors with us, many of them have told us that hands-on training they got really opened their eyes and turned on a lot of light switches. Many of them with phenomenal backgrounds coming out, retiring out of the military as mechanics and aircraft technicians and electricians. We've had master electricians, etc. And the systems in these RVs are different than you find in a lot of other types of equipment out there. So, Mr. Cooper, thank you for allowing me to have some time to toot my horn about RV Inspection Connection.
Well, I appreciate you being on the line with this seminar, because I really think that people need to know what opportunities are out there. It's one thing getting training, but it's another thing knowing, okay, what am I going to be able to do with it? And so, like Mr. Anderson was talking about, when you come to that fork in the road after you have completed your Learn by Doing, your advanced training, you've got 2 options. You know, you can go out on your own and do it, and we have inspectors that are doing it. And then we have others that are saying, look, you know, 1, I don't have the time, 2, maybe I want to have somebody else show me the ropes. And so folks like Mr. Anderson and his crew and some others that are out there can do it as well, can show you and coach you. Part of the reason why I wanted you to hear straight from him is so that way you could see what the commission structures are. So that way you'd know what you could stand to make. And I'm going to go ahead and toot your horn, Mr. Anderson, and encourage people to go to rvinspectionconnection.com and kind of look it over on that website. They lay it out for you. They show you what they charge, how things go as far as the 3 different levels for towables, 3 different levels for motorized, so you can see the pricing. There's also a comparison sheet, so you can see what the Essential and the, what do you call it, Essential Plus and Premier, all those are rated at. So take a look at it. Here's an opportunity for you. Now, I just want to reach out to those that are Canadian. Please understand there's opportunity here that has never been offered before in Canada that I'm aware of. So if you are Canadian and you're looking, there is an opportunity because the organization has been built for you as well. So don't feel like that you're going to be left out. Those of you that are in the military are thinking about, you know, doing your separation. Here's an opportunity for you. If you've got time before your separation to get your training, get some experience under your belt, so that way whether you decide to stay where you exit the military, or if you choose to maybe take that skill back home, here's an opportunity for you. Because I remember what it was like when I got ready to exit. I had the heebie-jeebies about it. I wasn't sure. You know, there was that fear of the unknown. And I was blessed that somebody coached me through some things and showed me how I could make that step. And if we can do that for you, then I feel like we've done you a service as well. Those of you that are coming close to doing some sort of retirement, here's an opportunity for you to build some skills to take with you on the road. Also give you an opportunity to build a business that you can take out with you and learn and earn as you're out working. Those of you that are, and I'm going to be very specific, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're looking and saying, hey, you know, I've had a good career, or maybe I'm not real happy with what I'm doing, take a look at it. This might be something just for you, and you can get into it fairly inexpensive. When you really look at what it costs to set up businesses in today's world and the franchise fees that, you know, whether you open up a Subway shop or, you know, a hamburger joint or whatever, what it costs to get it started and all the risks that's involved. Here, it's not there, because whatever you gain in knowledge, you'll be able to use in multiple ways. So with that being said, nrvia.org is the certification and credentialing body. There you also have the ability to where those of you who want to take the 30-day free trial, please be my guest. Sign up for it. You get a password, you get access, you can go in and take the electrical course that's there for you, so you get a feel for it and see what it's about. Those of you that want to go the next step and maybe you want to go ahead and take the online courses, all of them, you can. And like I said, you know, that gives you the membership. It also gives you access to that material for a full year. Now, those of you that want to do the hands-on, where you really get in there and dig it out and learn the basics as far as RV experience, the training triad where you go to the RV Tech course, take a look at that, rvtechcourse.com. And so, like I say, there's 3 different options, and I would encourage you to take a look, because here's an opportunity, and I've walked down this road, because there have been many times that, you know, I thought, man, if I only had another extra $100, I could make this week work. And sometimes, you know, it came in, and sometimes it didn't. So here's an opportunity where you can take care of you, your family, and do something to help yourself. So with that being said, let me just say I wish you well. If there's anything we can do to help you, reach out to us at NRVIA, and we will try to answer any questions we can. I notice that we still have some questions that have come in, and we may not be able to get to all of them. If that being the case, please understand we will respond to them via email, but we need to go ahead and bring closure, because we don't want to extend our welcome with you folks, because we appreciate the time that you took to spend with us today. So with that being said, Mr. Anderson, unless you had something else to share, I think it's time that we go ahead and sign off and tell everybody thank you very much, and we wish them well.
All right. I appreciate it, Mr. Cooper. Thank you for the opportunity. And again, if you do have questions, make sure that you do go ahead and type them in. We will get back to, there are a lot of questions, and we will respond back to those. And thank you very much, Mr. Cooper, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I want to wish everyone a good day, and press on. This is a heck of an adventure. I live full-time on the road. My question to you is, why can't you? We'll talk to you later, folks. Bye-bye.